Yo, 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 yo. All right, guys, volume of a cone. So please make sure you've watched the 13.1 volume of a cylinder video first, because cones and cylinders are very, 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 very similar. So let's just get straight to it. So here's your formula for volume of a cone. So you'll notice it's almost the same thing as a cylinder, but now we have this 1/3 in there. So for the volume of a cone, we find the area of the circle of the cone. That's your area of your base, and that's pi r squared. We multiply it by the height of the cone. But the only thing that's an extra step compared to cylinders is a cone is 1/3 the size of a cylinder that has the exact same height. So if I were to make this into a cylinder here, a cone's going to take up 1/3. Here's 1, 2, 3 pieces. So because a cone is 1/3 the size of the cylinder, we take all those dimensions from if it was a full cylinder, and then we just divide it by 3, or multiply by 1/3. But multiplying by 1/3 is the same thing as dividing by 3. So we'll talk about some strategies on how to do this to make this pretty simple for you, because I know we don't like multiplying by fractions, so that's going to scare people away a little bit, but I'll show you a couple ways of using this. So here we go, 1/3 pi r squared h. We're going to round to the nearest tenth. We're going to use 3.14 for pi. So first, what I'm going to do is, there's my formula. So I have my radius, I have my height. I'm going to plug those in here. My radius is 2, and then my height is 8. So here I've plugged in all of my values into my formula. The first step is still, as always, to square the radius. So I have 1/3 pi times 4 times 8. Because 2 squared is 4. Now what I can do is, this is where we really get to do any of these 4 things in any order we want. We like to say pi for last, but this is the part that's kind of nice, is where, let's say I had one of these two numbers was easy to divide by 3. I can divide by 3 at any time, because technically I can multiply in any order. I can multiply these in any order I want. And multiplying by 1/3 is the same thing as dividing by 3. So this is where, now that I've squared my radius, I'm going to look at where all my values are, and I'm going to say, well, is 4 easy to divide by 3? No, it's not really easy to divide by 3, because this isn't divisible by 3, so it's going to give me decimals. So I don't want to do that. Is 8 divisible by 3? Nope. So instead of dividing by 3 right now, I'm not going to. I'm going to do 8 times 4, which I know is 32. So now I got 32 times pi times 1/3. This is where, because I say we always like to say pi for last, I got to take my 32 and I'm going to divide it by 3 right now. And this is where the calculator is going to come in handy. And I'm going to get 10.66, and that's going to be repeating, but I'll just write it as 10.66, because then we will end up rounding anyways when we multiply by pi. And now I get to take that and I get to multiply it by 3.14. Okay. When I do that, I am going to get, I'm going to move over here, 33.49, which if I round to the nearest tenth is the same thing as 33.5. So the volume of this cone is 33.5 inches cubed. So the only difference between a cylinder is, at some point we have to divide a number by 3. It really doesn't matter when, it's as long as we've already squared our radius, we can divide by 3. So for this second cone here, same thing, but now the only difference is this has a diameter of 8, so I got to make sure I use the radius, and the radius is only 4 because it's half the diameter. So I'm going to plug in my formula. 1/3 times pi times my radius squared times the height. Let's square that radius first, so I get 1/3 pi times 16 times 9. Now this is a really good example of when I can divide by 3. So, and again, you don't have to do this. We can divide by 3 whenever we want, as long as we divide by 3 at some point. But if we see here, I can multiply in any order I want. So instead of doing 16 times 9, I can do 1/3 of times 3. Well, 9 divided by 3 is 3. And so now the 9 and the 1/3 are gone, so I combine those to 3. And then now we're back to something that looks just like a cylinder, right? So I get to do 16 times 3, which is 48 times pi. And then I just got to do 48 times 3.14 on my calculator to get 150.72. I got to round to the nearest tenth. Well, that means I'm looking at this number to round this one. Well, 2 is closer to 70, or 72 is closer to 70. So it stays the same. This number is less than 5. So it's going to be 150.7. And I'm done. All right, try this one on your own. It's a word problem. That's fine. Let's see if you can do it. So this one, I'll even highlight it. We got a diameter of 12 inches, a height of 8 inches. We want to find the volume. And it's the shape of a cone. Okay, so try this one on your own. Okay. So let's see here. My height is 8. My diameter is 12. So if the diameter is 12, that means the radius is 6. Height is 8. Well, so now that I can square my radius first as always, that's 36 times 8. I can do 1/3 times 36, which is 12. So I have 12 pi times 8. That's 96 pi. So again, I save pi for last. So no matter what order I did this in, if you did 36 times 8 and then you divided by 3, you still would have gotten a 96 pi. Okay, so I did 36 divided by 3 is 12, but if you waited later to divide by 3, you're still going to end up here. So you're going to get to the same spot. And then I actually have to do 96 times 3.14. I'm just doing my calculator in front of me here. And that's 301.44. Round to the nearest tenth. So that's going to be 301.4, because this 4 right here makes this stay the same. Finally, we're going to sometimes be given the volume. So we did some of these with cylinders. We're going to be given the volume of a cone, and then we have to find the diameter or the radius by given the height. So I'm going to plug in the values that I know into my formula. So my formula is volume equals 1/3 times pi r squared h, radius squared times the height. Okay, well, I'm trying to find the radius, because by getting the radius I can find the diameter. So I know the volume, it's 32 pi, so I'm going to plug in 32 pi here. That's 1/3 times pi times my radius squared, and I know my height is 6. Okay, I'm solving for r. So this is an equation where I have an unknown value of r, and I'm trying to solve for r. Well, what I can do first is let's get rid of this 1/3, because I can do 1/3 times 6. I can simplify this right-hand side as much as possible. So 1/3 times 6 is 2, because 6 divided by 3 is 2. That's going to give me 2 pi r squared equals 32 pi. I'm going to rewrite this up here just so I have more space. Okay, now, well, I got to get rid of this 2 pi. Well, first, if we notice, I'm trying to get rid of the pi, but this is all being multiplied. If I divide by pi, those cancel. So I can divide by pi over here, and those cancel. So I'm left with 32 equals 2 times my radius squared. So this is multiplication. I got to divide by 2. I'm going to get 16 equals my radius squared. So that means something squared equals 16. So in order for me to find my radius, I just got to take the square root. And what times itself equals 16? Well, it's 4. So the radius is 4. If the radius is 4, the question asks me for the diameter. So that means the diameter is 8. So I just have to double my radius to get to the diameter. Okay, I am done. So, things to remember. Always square the radius first. Yes, I realize that that's what we wrote in the last things, remember, but it's that important and it's still the most common mistake. Here's your 2 independent practice. Get them both done to get credit. And that's all, guys. Thanks for watching. Good DS out.